Lyria floated above the sparkling city of Zarathus, her mind heavy with worry. The sun caught the crystal towers, sending rainbows across the streets below. From her palace balcony, she could see the sky gardens suspended in the air, floating like giant emeralds and sapphires. But beauty did little to calm her thoughts. Her future felt like a storm she could not escape. Since she was a child, Lyria had known about her arranged marriage. The human warrior, Captain Jason Hale, was famous across galaxies. Stories about him filled every corner of her world. They called him the Merciless, a title that made her stomach tighten. According to the tales, he had fought hundreds of battles, defeating armies and showing no mercy. Entire planets feared him. The more Lyria heard, the more she imagined him as a heartless, towering conqueror who would treat her as nothing more than a prize. Her parents tried to comfort her. "He is a human, Lyria," her mother said gently. "Humans are different, but not cruel without reason," her father added. "He fights for honor and duty, not to harm those who do not deserve it. You must not let fear cloud your mind." But their words fell on deaf ears. Lyria had grown up hearing stories of Jason's victories, his icy gaze in battle, the cold way he commanded respect. She could not see the man behind the legend, and that terrified her. In the quiet of her room, Lyria sat on the edge of her floating bed. She ran her fingers over a crystal bracelet her mother had given her, a small charm meant to bring courage. She whispered to herself, "I must be brave. I cannot run. But what if the stories are true?" Her closest friend, Teres, arrived that evening. Teres was smaller than Lyria, with shimmering skin that reflected the city lights, but her eyes were wise and steady. "You look like a creature trapped in a cage," Teres said gently, taking Lyria's hand. "I feel like one," Lyria admitted. "I have to marry him, the Merciless, and I do not know what to expect." Teres frowned. "You believe the stories too much. You have never seen him. People exaggerate. Perhaps he is not what you think." "I cannot help it," Lyria said, her voice trembling. "I imagine him as a giant with no heart, a warrior who does not care for anyone but victory. How can I be expected to marry that?" Teres squeezed her hand. "Then look for yourself. See him with your own eyes. Stories are not truth. You will know soon enough." The next day, preparations began for Lyria's departure. The palace servants packed her belongings, choosing her most elegant robes and delicate jewelry. The crystal shuttle awaited her at the palace gates, engines glowing softly with blue energy. Lyria stepped inside, feeling the vibrations through her feet. As if the entire shuttle understood her fear, Captain Jason Hale was already waiting on the human-controlled space station in orbit above Zarathus. His quarters were neat and functional, a reflection of the human's disciplined mind. Unlike the tales of cruelty, Jason did not exude menace. He simply reviewed reports, checking the station's defenses and crew readiness. His expression calm and focused. He thought about the upcoming meeting with the alien woman. He knew the stories she had heard. Every commander, every soldier, whispered tales of him being merciless. He understood why she might fear him, but he did not share that cruelty. He valued honor, fairness, and the safety of those under his protection. His reputation was a weapon, forged in war, but it did not define the man. As Lyria's shuttle approached, she gazed through the viewing window at the vastness of space. Stars stretched infinitely in all directions, and the human station glimmered like a silver fortress. Her heartbeat quickened. She had imagined the station as dark and foreboding, but it was elegant in its own way, a marvel of engineering. Still, fear gripped her chest. The shuttle docked and Lyria stepped out onto the human station. Soldiers in sleek uniforms moved efficiently, their steps synchronized, their expressions serious. Her legs trembled. She imagined Jason standing among them, a towering figure with eyes that could freeze hearts. A human officer approached her. "Welcome, Lyria. Captain Hale is expecting you," he said politely, gesturing toward a nearby elevator. His voice was calm, not commanding, not cold. As the elevator doors closed, Lyria felt trapped in a mixture of fear and curiosity. She tried to calm herself, repeating Tara's words, "See him with your own eyes. Stories are not truth." When the doors opened, She found herself in a large room with a clear view of the station's command center. And there he was. Jason Hale stood near a window, looking out at Zarathus below. He was tall, but not the monstrous figure Lyria had imagined. His face was strong, yes, with sharp features and piercing eyes, but there was a calmness about him. He turned when he sensed her presence. "Welcome, Lyria," he said. His voice was steady, neither harsh nor threatening. He bowed slightly, a human gesture of respect she had not expected. Lyria's fear wavered, but her mind still raced. "This is the Merciless," he looks. "Ordinary." Jason smiled faintly. "I know you have heard many stories about me. I cannot control what others say, but I assure you they are exaggerated. I have no wish to harm you." Lyria blinked. She had expected a challenge, a cold remark, perhaps even intimidation. Instead, she found someone calm and polite, someone who seemed human. I am grateful for your welcome," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. Jason stepped closer, keeping a respectful distance. "I wish to understand your world, Lyria. I know this meeting may be difficult. You have traveled far, and the rumors you have heard may have frightened you." Lyria nodded. She felt the weight of her fears, but also a flicker of hope. Perhaps she had judged too quickly. Perhaps humans were not the monsters her people imagined. Over the next hours, Jason showed her around the station. He explained its functions, introduced her to the crew, and demonstrated human customs of courtesy. Lyria noticed how the humans respected Jason, not out of fear alone, but out of trust in his fairness. She saw soldiers laughing quietly during breaks, families visiting the station, and children playing in safe areas. This was not a place of cold mercilessness. It was a community, guided by discipline and care. Yet Lyria's mind kept wandering. Could one man really live up to such a reputation without being cruel? She had seen his calm, his kindness, but would it hold in the chaos of battle? Would he truly respect her, or would she discover later that the stories were true? That evening, Jason invited her to a quiet observation deck. From there, Zarathus stretched below like a jeweled carpet. The floating gardens shimmered in the fading sunlight, and the crystal towers reflected the gold of the setting sun. Lyria could not help but gasp at the beauty. Jason stood beside her, silent at first, allowing her to take in the view. "You come from a remarkable world," he said softly. "I am honored to meet someone from such a place." Lyria's fear softened further. She realized that the human before her was not the monster she had imagined. He was disciplined, yes, and formidable in his own way. But he carried strength with care, power with responsibility. The stories she had heard seemed incomplete, like fragments of a larger truth. Tears prickled at the corner of her eyes, not from fear, but from relief. Perhaps she would survive this meeting. Perhaps she would even find friendship or something more with this human warrior. As night fell over the station, Lyria finally allowed herself to rest. Her mind was still full of questions, but the terror that had gripped her since childhood had begun to fade. She would meet Jason fully tomorrow. She would see the man behind the legend. And perhaps she thought she would discover that humans were not so merciless after all, and so... As the stars twinkled endlessly outside, Lyria's first night on the human station passed. Fear had given way to cautious curiosity, and the journey that would change her understanding of humans and herself was only just beginning. The next morning, Lyria awoke in a quiet chamber of the human station. Light filtered through large windows, casting soft reflections on the polished floor. Her heart was still full of unease, but a faint curiosity had begun to grow. She dressed carefully, choosing a simple robe adorned with delicate patterns of her world. Feeling the weight of her upcoming encounter with Jason Hale, her mind raced as she stepped into the corridor. She imagined all the horrors the stories had painted, a towering man with cold eyes, a warrior who would consider her a possession. But when she reached the observation deck from which she had first seen him, her expectations faltered. Jason was already there. He stood with his back to her, studying the galaxy beyond the station. The sunlight bounced off the metallic edges of the station, highlighting his strong frame. He moved with quiet confidence, a calm presence that seemed to command the space without a single word. Lyria's breath caught in her throat not from fear, but from surprise. He was human, yes, but not frightening in the way she had imagined. Jason turned and noticed her. "Good morning, Lyria. Did you rest well?" His voice was calm and steady, full of clarity and warmth. "I did," she said softly, bowing slightly. Her voice carried a mixture of nervousness and wonder. She had never imagined that the human called the Merciless would speak to her with such courtesy. He offered a small smile. "I hope you find this station comfortable. I know it is very different from Zarathus, but I want you to feel safe here." For a moment, Lyria simply stared. The man before her, feared across galaxies, known as a merciless warrior, was showing her concern, respect, and kindness. It challenged everything she had been told, and she felt a strange flutter of curiosity and relief over the next few hours. Jason guided her through the station, explaining its operations and introducing her to members of his crew. Lyria observed how the humans responded to him. They were disciplined, yes, but there was trust and warmth in their interactions. Soldiers smiled politely when he passed, exchanged quiet jokes, and spoke freely. This was not a place ruled by fear. It was a place guided by respect and mutual understanding. Lyria's heart began to shift. Could it be that Jason's fearsome reputation only applied to battle? She remembered Tara's words. "See him with your own eyes. Stories are not truth." And now, seeing him firsthand, she began to understand. Later, Jason led her to a training area. He explained that humans valued physical and mental discipline, and that learning basic self-defense could be important even for those not expected to fight. Lyria watched with fascination as Jason demonstrated simple techniques. His movements were precise, fluid, and efficient. He struck targets without unnecessary force, showing control and care in every action. "Do you wish to try?" Jason asked, his eyes meeting hers. Lyria hesitated, then nodded. She mimicked his movements, struggling at first but slowly gaining confidence. Jason offered guidance with patience, correcting her stance and movements without criticism. She noticed the small details the way he watched carefully, anticipating mistakes, the subtle encouragement in his voice. It was unlike anything she had imagined. "You are learning quickly," he said. "Do not worry if it feels difficult. Humans improve with practice and patience." Lyria felt a warmth she had not expected. Here was the Merciless, the feared warrior, treating her with care and respect, guiding her gently as though her success mattered to him personally. Her previous fears, built from rumors and imagination, seemed distant now. As the day progressed, they walked through the station's observation galleries. Lyria marveled at the human technology ships and repair bays, floating drones, assisting crew members, and control panels glowing softly with information. Jason explained each system with clarity, never assuming she knew anything, yet never talking down to her. At lunch, they shared a simple meal in a small dining area. Humans had foods she had never tasted, but they were rich and comforting. Jason encouraged her to try different dishes, explaining flavors and ingredients. He listened attentively when she described foods from her world, asking questions about their preparation and cultural significance. "You have a fascinating world," Jason said, smiling. "I have read descriptions, but hearing them from someone who lives there makes it real." "You must miss Zarathus," Lyria admitted. "But I am learning that there is much to admire here as well." Their conversation was interrupted briefly when an alarm sounded in the station. Lyria froze, her first instinct driven by fear. Jason reacted immediately, calmly moving toward the control console. "Do not be afraid," he said over his shoulder. "It is only a minor system check. We can handle this." Lyria watched as he coordinated the crew. He gave clear commands, assessed information quickly, and resolved the issue with efficiency and precision. And yet, through it all, he remained calm and attentive to the well-being of his crew. Not once did he shout or act recklessly. Lyria's admiration grew. The human's reputation as merciless seemed even further from the truth. After the situation resolved, Jason returned to her side. "Everything is fine. You saw the station in action. These checks are routine, but it is important to remain prepared. Lyria nodded, realizing how much courage and composure it took to lead effectively. You are very different from what I expected, she admitted. Jason's smile was faint but genuine. I know. Stories travel fast and often lose context. Humans fight fiercely when necessary, but we do not take pleasure in harming those who do not deserve it. My reputation speaks to my actions in battle, not my intentions toward others. Lyria reflected on that as she walked beside him. The image of a cold, heartless warrior began to fade, replaced by one of a disciplined, honorable, and thoughtful man. She felt a spark of trust forming, a feeling she had never imagined possible when thinking of Jason Hale. Later, Jason invited her to the station's greenhouse, a large area filled with plants from different worlds. Zereth's flora mingled with human crops, creating a landscape of colors and scents. Lyria wandered through the garden, touching the plants gently, amazed at the care taken to maintain them. Jason moved beside her quietly, observing her reactions. This is one of my favorite places on the station, he said. It reminds us of what we are protecting. Life is fragile and precious, no matter where it comes from. Lyria nodded, her heart touched by the simplicity and sincerity of his words. In her world, life was precious too. But the idea that a human warrior feared for his mercilessness, could care so deeply for life, was almost unbelievable. They stopped at a corner where Zereth's flowers had been transplanted. Lyria bent to examine one closely. Jason watched, his hands folded behind him. Your world is remarkable, he said softly. These flowers are beautiful. You have a gift in seeing their beauty and preserving it. Lyria felt a flush of warmth. She had expected fear, intimidation, and perhaps indifference. Instead, she felt respect and understanding. She realized that Jason's strength was not only in his skill, but also in his compassion. As the day came to an end, they returned to the observation deck. Lyria leaned against the railing, gazing at the planet below. The sun set slowly, bathing Zerethis in gold and pink. Jason stood beside her, silent but steady. You have faced many stories about humans, he said quietly. I hope today has helped you see that not all tales are true. Not all humans are as they are portrayed in rumor. Lyria nodded. Yes, I can see now that what I feared may have been imagined. You are not merciless. You are careful, disciplined, and kind. Jason's expression softened. I am glad you understand. I hope in time you will see more than just me. Humans have many qualities, some admirable, some flawed, but few are as extreme as rumors suggest. Lyria took a deep breath, feeling her tension ease. For the first time since learning of her arranged marriage, she felt a glimmer of hope. Perhaps she could respect him. Perhaps she could even trust him. As night fell and the stars filled the sky, Lyria realized that the merciless human might not be a threat to her heart, but someone who could teach her courage, resilience, and understanding. The fears that had plagued her since childhood were slowly replaced by curiosity and admiration. She knew tomorrow would bring new challenges and opportunities to learn. But for now, she allowed herself a moment of peace. For the first time, Lyria thought, perhaps the human I dreaded is not a monster. Perhaps he is someone worth knowing. And as she looked at Jason, standing quietly beside her against the backdrop of a twinkling galaxy, she could not help but wonder what the future held and what lessons awaited her in the days to come. The next morning, Lyria woke to the soft hum of the station. She had slept well for the first time in weeks, and a calmness had settled in her mind. Her fears had not disappeared entirely, but they no longer weighed as heavily. Instead, she felt a growing curiosity about the human she had once dreaded and about what her future might hold. As she made her way to the observation deck, she noticed Jason standing near the railing, looking out at the stars. He turned when he sensed her approach, a small, welcoming smile on his face. Good morning, Lyria, he said. Did you sleep well? Yes, she replied. Thank you. I feel better today. Jason nodded, sensing the subtle shift in her demeanor. I am glad. I hope to show you more of the station today. There is much you have not yet seen, and I want you to feel at home here. Lyria followed him through corridors that twisted and curved, revealing the heart of the human station. They visited the engineering bay, where ships were repaired and maintained. Human engineers moved with efficiency and focus, yet they shared laughter and conversation as they worked. Lyria noticed how the humans respected Jason, not out of fear, but out of trust. He offered guidance and advice without commanding harshly, and they listened willingly. Knowing he valued their skill and judgment, "This is impressive," Lyria said softly. "Watching a ship's hull being repaired with precise movements. Your people, they work together well. I imagined humans as chaotic and harsh, but this is something else." Jason smiled faintly. "Humans are capable of both," he admitted. "We can be harsh in battle, but we also value teamwork, respect, and trust. These qualities help us survive and protect those we care for." Lyria thought of Zarathus, her world of beauty and elegance, and realized that strength could come in many forms. Her fear of the human had been based on stories, not on reality. Here she saw discipline, patience, and care qualities she had never associated with the so-called Merciless. Later, Jason invited her to the station's simulator room. "I thought you might enjoy seeing how humans train for defense and exploration," he said. "It is safe, but it gives an idea of what we do in challenging situations." Lyria observed the simulations, amazed at the precision and intelligence required. She watched Jason demonstrate a navigation exercise, moving through asteroid fields and maneuvering a small spacecraft with skill and calm. He explained each decision, each calculation, owing not only technical mastery, but also a deep sense of responsibility for the crew and mission. "You handle this so easily," Lyria said, astonished. "I thought humans were reckless, in danger." Jason shook his head. "We are careful, and we value life. In battle or exploration, every decision matters. Lives are at stake, and we must act wisely." Lyria realized that the rumors had been distorted. Jason's mercilessness applied only to strategic decisions in conflict, never to innocent life. She began to see the man's true character: disciplined, intelligent, and protective. The afternoon brought a new experience. Jason led Lyria to the station's training yard, where humans practiced combat techniques for skill and defense. Lyria had seen training before, but watching Jason in action was different. He moved with calm precision, striking targets with perfect accuracy, yet never showing unnecessary force. When a junior soldier struggled, Jason stepped in to demonstrate patiently, guiding them with encouragement. "Your strength is incredible," Lyria admitted, watching his every movement. "But you do not seem harsh even when teaching. You are merciful in ways I did not expect." "Strength and mercy are not opposites, Lyria. A human warrior must know both when to act and when to show restraint. True courage is in knowing the difference." She nodded, feeling her respect deepen. The man she had feared was not a monster, but a leader, a teacher, someone who valued life. As evening approached, an alert sounded through the station. A rogue alien vessel had entered the sector, approaching a nearby colony. Lyria's heart sank. The old fear stirred. She had imagined chaos, destruction, and the merciless humans striking without concern. But Jason acted differently. Calm and composed, he quickly coordinated the station's defenses. He gave clear, precise commands to his crew, assigning tasks efficiently while ensuring the safety of civilians. Lyria watched in awe as he moved among the station's officers, checking calculations, offering advice. And remaining composed under pressure, the rogue vessel fired upon the colony. But Jason's strategies protected the settlement. Shields held, emergency crews moved with speed and order, and no lives were lost. He achieved victory without unnecessary harm, demonstrating both skill and restraint. When the threat passed, Lyria approached him, her heart racing. You protected them. You could have been ruthless, but you were careful." Jason looked at her, his expression calm but thoughtful. "Yes, being feared is not the same as being merciless. I do not take pleasure in destruction, My goal is to defend, to protect, and to act with honor. This is what it means to be human. Lyria's admiration deepened. The human she had dreaded for so long was someone extraordinary, capable of courage, intelligence, and compassion. She realized that her fear had been based on misunderstanding. It's not reality. Over the following days, Lyria spent more time with Jason, observing his leadership, his care for others, and his respect for life. She learned about human culture, the values of discipline, honor, and fairness. Jason, in turn, asked about her world. Listening attentively to her descriptions of Zaratha's beauty, its customs, and the delicate art of maintaining balance between nature and civilization, they shared quiet moments. Walking through the station's gardens, or watching Zarathus from the observation deck, Lyria noticed small details. The way Jason's eyes softened when he listened, the patience in his voice, the subtle gestures of kindness toward his crew. Each moment shattered the stories she had believed. One evening, Lyria found herself speaking more freely. "I feared you," she admitted. "I imagined a man without heart, a warrior without care. But I see now that humans can be remarkable. You are not merciless at all. You are something I could respect, perhaps even admire." Jason studied her thoughtfully. "Fear is natural, especially when you are told stories that do not reflect reality. What matters is that you are seeing the truth for yourself. Understanding is the first step to respect." Lyria smiled faintly. "I am beginning to understand. Perhaps I have judged too quickly." Jason nodded. "We all have expectations based on what we hear, not what we see. It is brave to challenge those expectations and seek the truth." Their conversations grew longer and more personal over time. Lyria shared her fears about the future, the uncertainty of their arranged marriage, and her hopes for her people. Jason shared stories of human courage, of battles fought with strategy rather than cruelty, and of the responsibility he felt toward those under his command. One night, a quiet calm fell over the station. They stood together on the observation deck, the galaxy stretching endlessly before them. Lyria felt a sense of peace she had never experienced before. The human she had dreaded for so long now stood beside her, symbol of understanding, honor, and strength. "I never imagined," Lyria said softly, "that someone called the Merciless could be so considerate, so human in ways I had not expected." Jason turned to her, a gentle smile on his face. "I am glad you see me as I am. I hope you also see that humans are not defined by fear, but by the choices we make and the lives we protect." Lyria took a deep breath. For the first time, she felt a genuine sense of trust. Her fear had transformed into admiration, her dread into curiosity and respect. She realized that marriage to Jason was no longer a source of terror, but an opportunity to learn, to grow, and perhaps to build a bond based on understanding and mutual respect as the stars shimmered around them. Lyria understood the truth. The human she had feared was not a monster. He was a protector, a leader, and a man capable of both courage and compassion. Her journey of fear had led her to admiration, and her heart was open to the possibilities ahead. For the first time, Lyria thought not of fear, but of the future of a life where differences could be bridged, where respect and understanding could flourish, and where the human known as the Merciless could become someone she could trust and even admire. And as they stood together, gazing at the endless galaxy, Lyria realized that the greatest lesson she had learned was this: true strength is not measured by fear, but by honor, compassion, and the courage to act with both wisdom and care. Her journey was far from over. But for the first time, Lyria felt ready. Ready to face the future, ready to understand the human beside her, and ready to see what could grow from respect, trust, and perhaps something deeper. The stars above glimmered like distant promises, and Lyria knew that the human she had once dreaded was now someone she could truly admire and perhaps, one day, someone she could call her partner.